business account for a company with Facebook before. Not at Jonathan's level. He used a lot of buzzwords he uses a lot of buzzwords I'm not familiar with. I would like to know how to, when I post an ad, I want it to pop up on the news feed at a high level, not just for people that I'm fishing for or people that are fishing for. I noticed a lot of evangelicals fish for Israeli companies and Israeli names. Got a lot of that with the last Facebook page that I managed. It really doesn't bring any business. A lot of friends, though, a lot of likes, and that's great. That's really great. But how to put an ad out and get it in many different places, I don't know how to do that. I'm also interested in learning how to make and cut videos, which I thought maybe this class was for that. That's one of the reasons that I registered for it. And I thought it was also for basic, like beginners as well. That was my assumption. And so I'm interested in YouTube because I think that's a great forum to make videos, and you can post your videos to Facebook, so you'll get a double there. You know, you'll get clicks on Facebook and clicks on YouTube. And I'm also interested in Instagram as well, because it seems like my kids and a lot of people are really into Instagram. I don't want it for self pictures or anything like that, but just to learn how to advertise with it. So in whatever route that I'm going to go, you know, whether it's working for somebody else or doing my own thing, having my own business managing other companies, or doing, you know, a hobby on the side with it as well. I just want to be able to manage everything efficiently.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about the Facebook page that you mentioned that you were managing before. So what was the type of the business, or what's it called? What do they do?
It was a call center. It was basically a call center, and we had both Hebrew and English speaking women that answered for doctors, lawyers, you know, whatever, people that
service business.
Yeah. And so I advertised and created ads in that. I often hoped, I wasn't aware of the copyright policy, so I was often, you know, I was getting free pictures in places using those. That's another thing I think maybe we should take a 10-minute session on, is copyrights, you know, how to make sure that we're not using something that we could be sued for, because there's many pictures on the internet.
Right. Copyright, royalties.
That's something really important that I found, you know, a lot of questions I had in my mind, and because I was hired to do it with no experience, it's not difficult for me to get a position at a company. Really, it's not. When I go for a job interview, they either like me or they hate me. And so it's either a quick yes or no, and I like it that way. So I'm not worried about landing the job. I'm worried about being able to keep up with the pace and not have so much pressure setting on me, you know, trying to learn everything. And that's why I came to you guys, so you could teach me everything.
How many previous jobs in any type of social media marketing did you have until now?
Two, and I didn't have any experience before that besides being a Facebook user and, you know, listening to, you know, just recently in the past year, I actually, you know, hooked up and connected to actual news on TV, because we lived a very basic, you know, religious life for, you know, I mean, of course, years ago, I watched lots of TV and I've done lots of things in my lifetime before I made tshuva. But there was a long period of time where I was just out of everything. So I had 2 jobs, and I was able to get those jobs relatively quickly, just because, you know, I used to be a cheerleader in school in America. And I also, when I was young, I was a model. And I've done many things in my lifetime, and I'm very enthusiastic. But I had to learn a way with tshuva to mix those things together. And one of the things that I found is social media. You know, social media, because what do cheerleaders do? They cheer. They advertise. You know, what do models do? They advertise. I also have 6 years of university. I studied medicine. I have a lot of background in many things. I also own my own real estate business in America with my family. So I have a lot of sales, I have a lot of medical, I have a lot of things that were very outgoing and out there, you know, on the left end of the field. I'm conservative now, but I've always been conservative, but it was just a different lifestyle that I had, an American lifestyle, you know, before Chupa. So I think that this is a good route for me because I'm able to really mix my personality and find a place for my particular personality in the religious world.
Gotcha. Okay, so interestingly, you have a very interesting background. I think all of you have interesting background. That's what makes it such a interesting group to work together and to learn from each other. And it's something also very special about Israel, that we have really people here from all over the world, all different kinds of experiences, life experiences and backgrounds. And all of us together, I think we can learn a lot from each other. And then we can have a very broad understanding as well as some practical experience that can help each one of us to then apply into our next job or our next venture that we want to work on. So hopefully we will all enjoy each other's company. Thank you very much, Abigail. Let's go to Esther.
All right, so I wasn't there on Sunday. I'm sorry. What was the question? Remind me.
So, Esther, so basically, first of all, you're welcome to also use this opportunity to introduce yourself to all of us. Like, where are you from originally? How long have you been in Israel? Where do you live? And what do you do right now? And what's been your experience so far with online marketing, and what made you join the course? And then the question regarding that we were all asking each other was a question that was in the WhatsApp group, which is which are your three favorite or preferred channels of online marketing, and why?
Okay, so, wow. I currently live in Bet Horon. I was born in Israel. I grew up in France. I did a BA in biology in the United States. Currently, I'm an English teacher at a high school, but I've been doing for the past 15 years, still going on with that. I do holistic medicine. I just finished last year a medical intuitive class from a world-renowned medical intuitive in the States. And basically my job is to promote healing. So that's what I'm all about. I was in the States when the Twin Towers fell, and I understand now how important it is to be able to deal with unresolved trauma. It's a very big deal, especially in Israel where we go through so much stuff every day and it's not easy. And we have lots and lots of people walking around with unresolved trauma, and they basically don't have a life because of that. And I know that because I've gone through it. So that's my goal. My goal is to get it out there and to help people heal. I want to create online classes. I want to teach classes as well. I taught for 6 years anatomy and physiology in Hebrew speaking and French speaking faculties of alternative medicine. So I'm very big on the human body, and I can just go on forever about it. And I really want to share that. Now, my favorite platforms are basically, I think, Facebook and WhatsApp. I don't know exactly how to use WhatsApp, but I've seen it done, so I like that. Also, it's one-on-one. I'm more of an introvert type, and I think that's where my challenge is when I see everybody else and what they're doing, I get really scared, and then I crawl back under my rock, and then I take another 6 classes, and then I have all this knowledge and all this experience, but really it's hard for me to just reach out and be like, yeah, I'm all about this and I'm all about that. I don't know how to do that. So for me, this course is really about coming out of my shell and share healing message in a way that even in the words that we say, we can actually heal each other. So I said Facebook and I said WhatsApp, and well, I don't know yet what my third one is going to be. Maybe it's going to be Instagram, maybe it's going to be Pinterest. I have no idea. Surprise me. That's yeah.
Well, and I'm also happy to hear that there's someone else with a little bit of a French accent, like
Yes.
also I do. Last time I told the class about my background, so I also have many languages. I'm originally from Belgium, but my father is from France, so I also speak
Awesome.
many languages. Okay, thank you, Esther. So
You're
welcome,
welcome.
and nice to have you with us.
Thank
And you're
you.
welcome to catch up if you didn't have a chance yet to the recording of the previous session as well. And now all over to Pnina. So good evening, Pnina.
Okay, sorry. Hi. I'm sorry. I was finished. I have back-to-back class. I was teaching a class and then I came into this class, so please forgive me for being late. For me, the primary focus of a social media marketing class is the marketing. I've got the social media. I've got a really huge presence. I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook and another, I don't know, 1,500 followers on my professional page, whatever they call that. And I've got, I think like 800 followers, I think, on Instagram, which isn't a lot, but I haven't really made an effort to do much with it. So anyway, and I've got subscribers on YouTube. I've got a lot of connections on LinkedIn. So I'm out there, I'm putting out really valuable content pretty much every day. The problem is that none of that is turning into money. And so there's clearly a disconnect. I'm there, I'm posting, I'm putting stuff out. I make an offer, nobody responds. Part of that obviously is not going to be covered in this class because it's going to be about how to make an offer and stuff like that. But I also don't know how to use these platforms in a way that I can actually make money from them. So I'm really looking, I would have to say the top three would be Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But I'm also like, I'm really present on Facebook, but I've never made a penny from it. So, so it's the marketing end of all of that that I'm really interested in.
Can you please tell us again, what is the product that you're trying to sell?
Me. I'm a speaker who hasn't had a job since February, but I am a master mindset coach, and I am also a course creator. So, you know, primarily signing people up for my classes and also getting people to hire me to coach them one-on-one are my main focus. And I'd like to see how I can do that better.
That's a good idea, definitely. And I think that what the process that you're defining is called in our jargon of digital marketing, monetization. Right? So how can you turn traffic into value, into money? So something that can convert into a paying client eventually. It's very nice to have a lot of attention, but if you can turn it into something valuable that we can go to the, as we say in Hebrew, to the Makonet with, then we won't be able to go very far, right?
Exactly.
So there are many ways of doing it. There are very different ways of doing it. It also differs very much of what is the type of service or product that you're offering, and who is your target audience, and what's the price point of the service or product that you're trying to sell. And is it something that is more convenient and mostly bought or done online? Or is it something that most people do offline and you're trying to get them to go out of their comfort zone, basically, and start doing it online? So there are a lot of aspects to it. And the whole aspect of monetization will definitely be an important subject that we will see time and time again, and try also to connect the dots. So in every channel, in every chapter, we will see how we can use the platform, how we can use the information that the platform is giving us in order to try to monetize it and to give value to ourselves.
Great.
So thank you very much for sharing with us, Nina, and hopefully, once again, we will all benefit from your insights as well. Yes, Jonathan, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, no, just something similar to what you were saying, Panina. I have a good friend who does something very similar. He teaches guitar, but what he does is the guy's made literally millions of dollars by, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, but just to tell you in 20 seconds or less, he puts a ton of free content up on YouTube. He'll teach how to play a song, and then he'll say, sign up here for a free lesson. He points, then you click on the link, he gets email addresses, and then once he has the email addresses, he is able to, it used to be selling them DVD packages. Now it's selling him online subscriptions to teach lessons. It's economies of scale. I mean, he's built it. He has nearly a billion views now on YouTube. He's got 1 million email addresses. He knows when he sends an email out with a thing, he gets about a 5% response. His cheapest product there is about $50. So, but he just puts out content every day, a ton of it, drives people to emails, and then through the email is able to monetize it. He's been doing it for 12 years.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, guys, so thank you all for participating and giving us your answers on those 3 social media platforms. And now let's dive into the content of today's session. And in a second, you're going to all see it on screen. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Just a sec. Good. Here it goes. Here it comes. Since I know more or less what's going to be on the slide, I'm already going to start talking about it until it loads so we can save those precious seconds. So basically, we're going to talk about one of the main problems with social media. And this is especially true for social media, but it's also true for all the different channels online on the internet and nowadays, and ever since the beginning of it, but especially it's only getting worse with time. And this is basically the question of the lifetime of a social post. So here I brought the example that's relevant to us here in Israel of Chai, right? So 18. And why Chai is also life in Hebrew. And Chai is also the gematria, or if every letter has a number meaning, so 18 is Chai in Hebrew. And why did I put here the number 18? Because 18 was one of those numbers that was considered the lifetime of an average social media post. Now, actually, this figure keeps getting shorter and shorter, and really depends on your audience and your platform. So, as some of you already mentioned in today's class, that, for example, on TikTok, which is mostly used by teenagers today, the average length of a post of video, which is basically a video platform, is about 10 to 15 seconds. So if in the past we were talking about 8 minutes was the lifetime of a social post, today it can be also 18 seconds. So when I mean the lifetime of a social post, I don't mean only the length of the actual content. So how much time does it actually take the viewer or the consumer to consume or go through the content, right? You can write a blog post that would take maybe 8 minutes to read if it's a long one. Or you can have a video that is 1.5 minutes or 90 seconds. Or it could be an audio clip or audio podcast that is 20 minutes long. So there are different formats and different lengths that are possible in each of those formats. But we're not only talking about the length of the post itself, we're also talking about how much time do we have to actually gain or take advantage of the post itself, of the lifetime that it has that to be discovered by our main audience or by the majority of our audience. So it's true that most of our content, except if you're familiar with, for example, Instagram. On Instagram, you have Instagram stories. So Instagram story, not only is it very short, it's usually by little pieces of 15 seconds each, but also it has a lifetime that has been limited by the platform rules themselves, so by Instagram, of 24 hours. So the lifetime, the maximum lifetime of a story on Instagram is already limited to 24 hours. So if you put some content, after 24 hours, it's gone. However, for example, if you're posting a post on your Instagram feed or your Facebook page, then the post itself will stay there. It will stay there forever until you delete it. However, the lifetime of it, meaning how much time do we have to have a good chance of people seeing it and discovering it, is much shorter than that. And once again, it used to be 80 minutes. And it all depends not only on the rules of the platform itself, but also, of course, of the patience of our consumers, and also on the quantity of content that it is getting uploaded to those platforms at every given time. So since there are more and more posts and more networks and platforms and places to put content, and even on one platform, like Facebook, you already have so many different places or placements where you can post content. So we have, for example, the Facebook feed itself, which is in the middle, and we have Facebook stories, which are basically copied from Instagram stories. You also have stories in Facebook, and you have the Facebook Messenger, right? So you have different places on your Facebook page and your Facebook profile. You have different places where you can post content on each platform. If you have a feed, right? So if you open any kind of social media app, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it is known for a feature called the endless scrolling. So the endless scrolling means that you can scroll, right? You can go down, whether you do it with a finger or with you swipe, if you're doing it on your phone, or with your mouse, you go down and down with your mouse. It will never end. There's always more content coming on because there are always posts to show you from your friends, from your colleagues, from any groups that you're a part of, communities, or ads, of course, which is an important part of it. So all those platforms, they have a self-interest to try to keep you, the consumer, on for as long as possible. But us, if we are the marketer, or if we are the owner of a page or an account, and we want to try to get the attention of our target audience and to keep it for as long as possible, we are in for a very hard challenge and a very hard battle that is fought every day. And not only you have to fight against everyone else trying to steal your consumer or your client's attention, but also we are fighting against the platform themselves, who are always trying to push new content and to push to your audience the content that they believe will resonate the best with your audience. So you might think that you have the best content, of course, for your audience, but Facebook or Instagram might think otherwise. And this is, of course, done by what's called like the algorithm. The algorithm, so basically the brain of Facebook and Instagram and Google and all those places, and YouTube, that always try to push forward and to feature the content that they believe will be the most attractive one for your audience. Of course, taking into account everything they know about each one of their users, so they have much more information that we have. We might try to guess what our audience would like to see, but Facebook and Instagram, they know for a fact, because of the whole data and stream of information that they have accumulated over the years, exactly what does each one of us want and when. So they are always one step ahead of us. They know more than us, and also they make their own rules, and they can change the rules and bend the rules as much as they want and whenever they want. So we're in here for a very strong challenge, but in order to have a chance to make the best out of it and to be successful, we really need to take advantage of everything we can. Everything we can, it means all the little hacks, all the little tricks, all the little tips, all the newest feature, all the information that we have available to us to try to get our best chance of getting our audience attention and keeping it for as long as possible. So I want to introduce to you different steps of being more socially minded. Let's try to change our way of thinking. For some of you, it might already be natural. Maybe you're already implementing most of those steps. But anyway, it's a good thing to go back and review them and to think about them maybe in a different perspective. Thinking about them in the social media and digital marketing perspective. So step one is to try to get out of the box. And of course, each of those steps I will elaborate on them and try to give you some examples of how to do it and what do I mean by it. So briefly speaking, we have here step one, getting out of the box. Step two, the anatomy of a good social post, which is, of course, all about telling stories or what is called storytelling. Storytelling is a very, very crucial part of any content that you put online. And this is one of the most important bits of knowledge that you can invest on to get good results. So there's always, let's say, two parts to having good performance online. One is I would call the theory, and one is the practice. So one is the more technological, where you have to know what to post, where, how to post it, where to click, what type of formats to use, all the technicalities. On the other hand, you have all the theory of how to catch attention of someone, how to make a post attractive, and then you have the whole question of storytelling, which is basically the same rules in every type of marketing and every type of platform. It's true for offline, meaning the TV and newspapers, and even if you are a teacher and you want to speak to your audience or to your class, you want to try to be a good storyteller, to tell a good story, to keep your audience attention. So everything which was true and learned and taught in drama classes or theater classes or literature classes, or how to perform in front of the audience, all those bases are still true for today. The same thing that has been in theory right for maybe hundreds of years until we can go back to the really first steps of how to speak to an audience in our Bible with Moses and the Greeks in their theater, and how to be a good orator in the parliament if you're a politician. So no matter if you're a philosopher or a politician or a musician or a coach or a blogger, if you know what type of content will resonate with your audience and how to present it and how to deliver it to them, then you have everything you need to be successful. So one step of knowing what to post and how to tell a good story is to try to really be step three, to be your audience. So really trying to know who your audience is, of course, and then how to put yourself in their shoes as much as possible. And if you cannot put yourself in their shoes, then at least try to sample and really investigate and interview some people of your audience themselves and ask them and question them and try things out on them and with them. So going back to something I mentioned last time, A/B testing, of trying different types of content until you find which one resonates better than the other one and which one is more liked by the platform compared to others. So this is step three of being your audience. Then step four is also the question of motivation. So motivation, you want to try to recruit your audience and to have them feel a sense of community, sense of belonging, a sense of feeling that they are part of the journey, or they are like you, or you are like them, or you can understand them very well, or your clients can understand your other clients very well and have some things in common. So this can be by trying to promote a cause or to bring people together that have some common interests. For example, English-speaking Olim, they have a lot of things in common, a lot of challenges. Therefore, you have a lot of online communities that are based around the common interest of, what do we need, or who can help us with the challenges that we have as Olim Chadashim. So this is like a classical example of something that is in dire need, and that's why you have a lot of online communities that are centered around those challenges as in different languages and from different places. Step 5 is outreach. So no matter how much work we do with ourselves, we also sometimes have to reach out and to be proactive. So being proactive is not good enough to post content on your own channel. Sometimes you have to do the work of like a journalist or analyst, meaning to go beyond not only your comfort zone, but really you're going beyond your own platforms and trying to reach out to others, trying to reach out to other influencers or to other channels, other media channels, other Instagram accounts, other Facebook pages, other communities on Facebook, other Facebook groups, where you can maybe try to, once again, broaden your audience, get more people interested, or at least start from zero. You have to build something. It's very hard to build with zero. If you can post as many posts as you want on Facebook, which are great, but it won't help you to grow your audience unless you really go out and reach out. So this is something, of course, that we can do in different ways. And we're going to go through our course about different ways of reaching out and growing an audience from scratch, different channels, by using usually 2 types of methods. So it's divided into 2 parts. One is called the organic outreach and the paid outreach. So you have the advertising, the paid advertising, and you have everything which is organic, meaning that you don't have to pay extra to Facebook or to Google to show your content and to broadcast your content outside. So this is regarding outreach. Then we have step 6, creation, acknowledgement, validation, and reach. So sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about your client or even the community or the outside world. And one way to build an audience and to keep your audience is not only to share your own content, but to share content from other sources, from other people. So in the previous step was reaching out and trying to put your message and broadcast it inside other people's or other sources of traffic. Then step 6 is about doing the contrary. So basically bringing content from other sources and putting it on your channel. So if, for example, you can create interesting articles from other websites and share it with your audience, then you're creating, once again, a good reason for them to come to your page and to follow your content and to go back and see what's new with you, because you bring them value. Not only the value that you bring by yourself from your own content, but also by saving them time and bringing content from other sources, whether they are other websites or bringing on guest posts from other people in your industry, or also sometimes by acknowledging some of your clients. So sometimes you want to basically what's called like give a shout out or give some credit to one of your clients, one of your colleagues, and once again validate what they have done for you, not only what you have done for them. So all of those things together, once again, they will help you to broaden your reach and reach more people. Because once you give acknowledgement, once you give creation or you give validation to your audience, what you're doing is that you're giving them a very good reason to share your content with their friends, with their community. Because now they have a self-centered interest to share also your post because it talks about them or it resonates with them or with some of their own friends. So give them a reason to share your content and be your ambassadors. And in order to do that, once again, you have to do step 7 to get married to your social media, meaning this is something that you have to be mindful of all the time. So even if you don't want to spend all day long, of course, on social media, this is not what I'm advocating, what is needed. It's not about how much time you spend, but it's about thinking about how can you use everything that you encounter in your daily life to then also bring forward on social media. How can you share something that happened in your life? How can you share a story that happened to one of your clients? How can you share something that you read about in an interesting way to your audience? So this is really about thinking about your social media as being an extension of yourself and helping you to, once again, to broadcast your message to the outside. Step 8 is to not forget, once again, to not only be very, very serious, but also to, once again, broaden the scope and the type of content that you share with also elements of gamification and events. And gamification comes from the word games. So here we're talking about trying, once again, to interact with your audience and to have some trigger to have them do something for you or with you. And like a game, once again, it can be a real game where, for example, share a funny story with us, or games like the prize. For example, tag 3 of your friends, or like, comment, and share our post with your friends, and you can get entered into a draw, and one of you will get a prize. iPad, a free consultation, anything of value that will motivate them enough to do it, to make this extra step and to share it with their friends. And once again, it doesn't have to be a monetary or value prize. It can also be a prize which is basically sharing something funny. So if you have something funny to share, or that you bring something funny from the outside, or sometimes it can be something emotional, which is not funny, it is dramatic, or it is interesting in any way or valuable, and once again, they have a good reason and motivation to share it with their friends, something with events. So if you want, and you will want to try to organize online events or use our online platforms to try to get attention to your events. So events can be online events, like Facebook event where you're going to go live on Facebook and answer your audience question. Or you can have an event which will be on Zoom that will be advertised on Facebook and on all your other social media channels to bring people and have them sign up for your Zoom. Or it can also be a real life event in the outside before the Corona, where you have a networking party or a conference or workshop or whatever kind of event. So event can be, of course, both online and offline. Step 9 is PPC, something we talked about last time, pay-per-click. And by it, I mean that, we can do a very good job with all the different steps that I mentioned before. But we should always be open, and we should be motivated, and we should do an effort to try to leverage the power of advertising, of paid advertising. So even if you have a very low budget, or even if you think that you're the best in doing what's called like organic outreach and organic marketing, you will still want, and it's very good in your own interest, to use the opportunity that paid advertising is giving online. Because paid advertising is so much stronger and sophisticated in a good way than any type of offline advertising, of classical advertising. And we'll talk about the differences soon as well. Okay, so here are those 9 steps. And now let's try to dive inside. Okay, so get out of the box. It's also about thinking once again about who are you talking to and what are you talking about. And that's why you have those @ and the hashtag sign. Okay? So you'll see this on the pound sign in some English languages as well. So the @ is of course used to, it's called tag someone or something. So tagging is a process where on Facebook or on Instagram or other social media networks, you're basically mentioning someone or connecting your content with someone else. This is the @ Then you have the hashtag or the pound sign, where you're basically telling the platform itself and the audience what is the subject of your post, of your content. So this is a way of getting discovered. When you're telling Instagram or Facebook, with especially Instagram, with the hashtag, on Twitter also it works very well, and LinkedIn it works as well. You put the hashtag in front of a subject, or what's called also a keyword, then you're telling the platform and the algorithm of the platform that your content is about this subject. Therefore, anyone who would be interested or following this type of keyword or subject, they will try to show it to them because it might be relevant to them and of their interest. So this is using the hashtag. And once again, every platform has its own rules and its own guidelines and best practices, and they will definitely go into the nitty details when we arrive to that stage. Step 2, the anatomy of a social message. So once again, this is a concept of traditional branding and marketing where you want to use the 3Ds. But the 3Ds are true for traditional advertising as well, for a social message as well, where you want to go after emotions. You want to go with desire, right? You want to give them a good reason. Why will someone want to read your post? You might think that sharing a picture of a dog is very interesting for you because maybe this dog has a story and a meaning for you, but if it doesn't have any meaning to someone else, to your audience, then it won't create any desire to consume and read about your dog or your post. So you have to give them a good reason and to trigger an emotional reaction that will basically motivate them to have a look and invest their precious time into your content instead of someone else's content. This is about desire. Then you have do. Do is about motivating them to do something with it. It's not good enough that they will consume your content. You want them to do something. You want to do what's called, I mentioned last time, a call to action. You want to ask them to take action, do something. And usually we will want to focus on one thing. So every time you post a message, no matter, once again, it can be an email that you send out, it can be a Facebook post or YouTube video, you will ask them one thing. Subscribe, share, tag, click, visit our website, sign up for this event, for this webinar. So you want to ask and be very clear, make it very clear, what are you asking from them and what you want to get out of them. So you have to think about what is the best call to action for you. What will put you in the best position to go and I would say, take the audience along the path that you want them to follow to eventually convert and become a customer or lead or paying customer, and not only consumer your content and maybe liking it once in a while. Once again, talking about the monetization aspect that Pnina mentioned beforehand. So this is about doing and doing the right thing that will bring you value. And details, being broad and having one picture with one hashtag, one keyword, it's cute, it's nice, but it doesn't give any important detail. So we want to be detailed, doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be relevant and valuable and useful to the content that you post and to the audience that you're posting to. So details are important in any social message, and therefore the 3Ds, desire, do, and the details. Before we continue, going back to something I mentioned before that, an important keyword in digital marketing, and it is MROI. So MROI stands for the marketing return on investment. So taking into account how much you spend in your resources in marketing and how much do you get in return. Once again, going to the aspect of monetization, of having in your mind the thinking of how much am I actually getting out of the efforts I'm putting out. And when we're talking about our efforts, then usually we're talking about money, but it can also be time. The time is also a limited and valuable asset that we have. We can sometimes exchange time for money or money from time. If you are an employee or freelancer and you're being charged or paid by the hour, then you're changing your time for money. If you have money but you don't have time, you can buy someone else's time with your money. So if you don't want to make the a video editing for your own content, or you don't want to make your own logo, you can pay someone to do it for you. And maybe it's a better use of your time, because maybe you only have limited time, and you'll better spend it with a consultation with a client that will pay you for your time, instead of spending hours on designing a very cute image. So all of this should be taken into account. We're thinking about how much did we invest in something and how much did we get in return, or the MROI. So for doing the MROI process, we want to go through the process where every time we do something, we stop, we measure, we analyze, and we strategize. So stop is just taking a moment of our time. It doesn't have to be a real stop. It doesn't mean that you have to stop posting on social media. It doesn't mean that you have to stop going to or entering some platform. It just means that you should take a pause, a little moment, to have the time and allocate the time to look at what you do, not only before you post, but especially after you posted. What did you do? What was the performance of your post? And to do that, we need to go and measure the information, or through the information that all those platforms are giving us. And thank God, one of the biggest advantages of online marketing is that everything is measurable. Everything is measurable, and therefore we can also analyze in a very deep and broad way all types of metrics, all types of information and data points that those platforms are giving us. So we have an abundance of data, of information about the performance of our post, about who is our audience and how are they reacting to our content. And we want to know what to look for and what to make out of it. So measure, analyze, and then what to make out of it, strategize to try to improve, learn from our mistakes, see where are maybe some unseen opportunities, and then to double down on them and go all in once we find what are our golden eggs, right? What is the content, type of channel, and type of audience that gives us the best MROI. And to do that, when we strategize, we want to take into account those 1, 2, 3, 4 keywords here in the bottom that are also concepts of branding and marketing and storytelling, which is thinking about who are you talking to, what are you talking about, what are you offering them, what is the product or service that you're trying to promote, where are we? So sometimes the content on Instagram will be different than the type of content on your blog or on Facebook or on YouTube. Each platform has its own type of content to be ideal for the platform itself. And how, once again, being the methodology or the type of content or the type of message, the length of the message, the colors we're using in the phrasing, is it more text, is it more video, is it more audio? So the how is, of course, key to having a good performance. Okay, before we go further down, I would like to give you an opportunity to ask if you have any questions or comments regarding what I presented so far and talked about in the last half hour. So if any of you has any question, you can unmute yourself and ask anything. Yes, no, don't be shy, go ahead. Esther? You're still muted, Esther, so I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, okay. So I was very inspired. I'm actually taking notes. That's why I hide my video. But I was wondering, I was looking into the possibility of creating podcasts as well. So that just opened up a whole new window in my head where doesn't have necessarily just to be Facebook Live, but like a podcast. And I'm just curious what your input would be about that.
Perfect. So yeah, so podcast is very interesting. I can say a lot about podcast, and maybe we can even dedicate a whole session about podcast, about how to do it technically.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Even if you have a very low or I told the group that I've been working a lot in the high tech and startup industry in Israel before for many years, and the last years I've been consulting and mentoring and helping a lot of startups. And one of the things that startups like to do or startups live about is about what's called bootstrapping. Bootstrapping
Okay.
or starting in your garage, meaning that how can you make the best out of what you have in your disposal, right? So, how can you try to leverage what you have? It's not about what you don't have, it's about what are the best usage of what you have right now with you, right? So we want to try and avoid as much as possible to, if you don't have a lot of financial options and you don't have a lot of equipment, what can you do? What is the best use of your equipment that you already own, and taking into account your preferences, your stronger points, and trying to make the best out of it. So podcast used to be something that you needed to have almost like a professional radio studio.
Right.
So it would cost quite a lot in investment to buy the equipment and also to basically prepare it for broadcasting and then to broadcast it to a wider audience. Once again, it would require a lot of different steps. To be a long process. Today, nowadays, like many other processes, it has been very much simplified.
Yeah.
So I'll share with you when we come to it, like how basically any one of you can start a podcast basically without buying anything, without spending even $1, and distributing it basically everywhere. So all of you can have a podcast within 24 hours that is available on Apple and on Android and on all the platforms that you would like, all the best, on Spotify, even everywhere. So this is something which is doable, easy, scalable, and can be very valuable. Once again, if it is fitting for your audience and for the type of content that you're sharing. I also did some tests with some podcasts before. I always try to not only learn about something or teach something, but also to apply it and to use it myself and try things out myself. So I've been experimenting with podcasts over the years, and I can tell you that sometimes you can be surprised. Sometimes you can see that one of those channels that you're trying to distribute content will sometimes just pop up out of nowhere.
Wow.
And when you least expect it, and from the source that you least expect it. So you might think that you have your best audience or the best chance of success on Facebook, but if you try different channels, including podcasting, maybe you'll find out that you can actually reach out to thousands of people regularly for free using podcasts. So that's why I'm really trying to encourage you to try everything. Give it a chance. So great question, great insight, and I'll mark it as something that we'll want to come back and maybe dedicate a session about.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding what I presented so far today? No? Okay, great. Usually when there are not a lot of questions, then I'm taking it as a good sign that I was clear enough and everyone is following the train, so that's good. Perfect, thank you. Next. Okay, so.
Hold on, I do have one question. About the first slide with the 18, with the rule of 18, is that also apply to, let's say, on Facebook, a dark post, or on Instagram, a sponsored post, or is that purely for organic posting on social media?
Very good question. I like it. And this is like also an advanced question. So the answer is yes. Actually, it also impacts dark posts or advertisements. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it happens that Facebook or all the other platforms, they are really analyzing how does your audience react to your ad or to your organic post. And the first 18 minutes, more or less, are critical to giving like an answer to Facebook, for example, or Instagram or any other platform of how does your post resonate or your ad resonate with your audience. What it means is that if within the first 8 minutes, give or take, you'll have some likes or some comments, or even things like Facebook are looking at on YouTube about how many of the people that have seen or been discovering or shown your content are actually going through all of it. So if you have a video, and let's say the video is 1 minute, how many of your viewers are actually till the end, watching the whole video? Even things like that have an impact and basically will decide the fate of your post. So if you have a lot of reactions, a lot of engagement, what we call engagement on social media, if your post can get a lot of engagement within the first, even let's say half hour of posting, then this is critical and it will give you a big boost, both once again for normal free organic posts, where you have a much bigger reach. So your post will be shown to many more people for free if people react to it in the first half hour. And that's why, for example, that the timing of posting is also very important. So you want to post at a time where, let's say, your biggest fans will be online. So if you post at midnight and they're all sleeping, then you're wasting precious time, and by the time they wake up, no one will see it. So you want to try to time your post to when your audience is available, online, motivated, and have their attention ready to take action and to help you boost your content. So if, for example, you know that your audience might be on Facebook at 8:30 in the morning on the way to work, their commute, okay? So this might be a good time to catch their attention because they will be on Facebook or Instagram on the way to work or before getting to work. But it doesn't mean that they are in the right mindset and they have the patience and time to take action, to go and sign up or to go and buy your product, because maybe they don't have time or the head for it. They just want entertainment. So maybe 8 in the morning might be a good time for entertainment, but not for any type of buying or signing up for something. So timing is critical, and the first 20 minutes or half an hour of the lifespan of the post is critical to the future of it, to how many people will be reached, both organically and also in an ad.
But does that time limit, like, let's say the more targeted your post, like let's say you have a custom audience that's based upon people that have already engaged with a different post in the past. So they're already like a very highly like if it's the higher targeted your audience, does that give you a greater chance of a longer lifetime of the post?
Yes. So especially once again, if we're talking about paid advertising,
Yeah,
then,
only paid, yeah.
yes. So obviously, it's like every post and every ad is getting some kind of like a ranking from, let's say, Facebook. They give you a score. On Google, on YouTube, on Facebook, they all give you like some kind of score. If you advertise, you can see the score, by the way, they'll show it to you.
Really?
They'll give you a score from 1 to 10. Yeah. They'll tell you how relevant is your post and your content to your audience. And the score is based not only about the wording, but also about how your audience reacts to your post. So that's why if your audience is, like well-defined, then it might help you with some campaigns. It doesn't mean that you don't want to go with a broad audience. Sometimes when we'll talk about paid advertising and paid campaigns and what are the best practices to launch a campaign on Facebook or on Google or whatever, then we'll talk about all those aspects of what is the size of the ideal audience and when for what type of campaign. There are, of course, a lot of different side aspects to it. So this is, once again, a content of a full session as well. So we'll get to it. But yes, it's important. Cool. There are some things to do with that. Okay.
So
thank you. So I'm giving you now like an example of if you start working for a new job or you're launching your own new project. So we talked about the lifespan of an average post, which once again we're talking about a few minutes, and we're talking about the first few minutes being critical to the reach of your post, whether it's an ad, paid ad, or an organic post. And we also have to look at a life cycle of the online marketing performance or the launch phase of a new product or service. And here we want to look at, let's say, a 3-month cycle. So a 3-month cycle that we will want to test different types of content, start, learn, and analyze and improve, of course. And we want to try to get some kind of cruising speed, or to find what are the best practices that will help us to go into the cruising speed, where we know more or less that if we put this type of content in front of this type of audience at this day or this time of day, then we will have our best chances of getting to our average maximum number of people seeing our content. And so this, I break it down into a 3-month cycle. So month 1 is measure and analyze. So we want to basically try new things, set, like it's written down there, set benchmark for followers, engagement numbers, reach, type of content. So we want to basically get some numbers that will give us a starting point. Where are we today, right? How many followers do we get per week or per day? How much engagement do we get in average per post? It will be difficult to try and compare ourselves to others, because everyone has a different starting point, a different audience sometimes, a different type of message. So it's very difficult to give out broad numbers and to copy stuff that you have read online from other people. So yes, there are sometimes industry standards, and we'll talk about them, and I'll share with you some numbers that are industry standards. But it's very critical in the beginning to get your own benchmarks. And getting your benchmarks and your numbers, your averages for those important benchmarks, and we'll also talk about what are the important benchmarks in each of those channels. This will be one of your primary goals. And the sooner you can get and have your benchmarks, the easier and the faster you'll be able to optimize and to monetize, right? So in order to monetize, to be profitable and to make money, you will want to get your benchmark as soon as possible. So one way of getting your benchmark is the slow and steady way, the cheaper way, which is just to go with organic content. So post, share by yourself, and give it time until you have enough people, enough information, enough data to accumulate and get your benchmark. So this is possible. But maybe it will take more time than you think. If you go slow or you grow slowly, maybe you'll need to spend 6 months or a year before you can get enough information, enough numbers to give you some conclusions, some benchmarks. So if you want to speed it up, you will want and need to use paid advertising to try to get those benchmarks as soon as possible. So for example, if you want to have some numbers, you will need to have, let's say, 1,000 people visiting your website, or 1,000 people that have seen your content, right? If you have a group of 20 people, it's not enough. It's not broad enough. It's not enough people to get to any kind of conclusion or any type of realistic benchmark. There are some numbers that are critical and a minimum to get some benchmarks. So 100 in some cases or 1,000 in other cases will be a number that we will want to reach as soon as possible, whenever we're talking about organic, paid, or both of them together. Sometimes you can look at other similar companies where you can learn from them and get some information and benchmark from them, and then you can compare how good or bad are you doing compared to some competitors of yours. You will want to learn, of course, who is your audience, how do they engage with you, what type of content is your or are your competitors posting, what you can learn from them. You want to take notes of everything that you're doing and your audience is doing and competitors are doing. So during the first month, it's all about testing, not stopping, really just posting, trying things out, learning, experimenting, etc. So this is about month 1. Month 2, you'll want to see already some growth. you will want to see that your numbers start to grow, even if it's very slow growth and only organic growth based on your free effort. You will want to see that numbers start going up and going up steadily. So even if it's like, you know, 1 extra follower per day, but it's still a start. I mean that you are climbing. Some people climb very slow. Some people climb much faster. It also depends on how much, you know, where are you starting from. If you have already 5,000 friends on Facebook, like Pina told us, then, you know, you have already a good starting point and you can climb from here. If in your own Facebook profile, you're just starting and you only have 2 friends, then you'll have to do some work and the growth will be slow. So everyone starts from a different starting point, but you will want to see that you're climbing and growing every day or every week, etc. So this should be the goal, the second one. If you're growing something, of course, it means that you're doing something right. Month 3 will be where you'll try to really strategize, to really sit down, have a full analysis of all different aspects and everything that you have learned, that you can learn from everything that you have assembled for the first 2 months, and try to decide, okay, from now on, what should I do? Where should I focus on? Where should I spend more time? In which platform? Should I put more focus on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Google, on organic or paid? What is my budget? What is the best way of spending my budget, both in time and money? So those are the things that we'll want to think about and prepare, have ready in our 3rd month. So this is basically the basis of the content and of the insights I wanted to share with you today in today's lesson. You're welcome to ask a few questions if you have, and if not, then I will want to wish you, of course, good year, Shana Tova, and of course, a lot of health to everyone, and that hopefully next year or next Chag, we'll have the opportunity to all be with your loved ones and family, broader family, and travel and be wherever you would like to be. And I'm reminding you, of course, that our next class will be not Sunday because it's Rosh Hashanah, but in a week from now, 7 days from now, next Wednesday, same time, same location. So any of you has any question or comments, you're welcome to give. And if not, then you're welcome to go ahead and go have your dinner or whatever you want to do. And you're free to go. And of course, I'll try to post tonight or tomorrow a link to the video recording of today. And before I forget, I will also want to leave you with some homework. So I want you to, your homework will be to look at one of the channels that you already have done some work on. So, and of course, I would prefer to have like one of those social channels. So, for example, if you have a website, this is your own channel, I will want to look at the social channel for you, Fanny. So, for example, Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever type of channel you have already a profile on. You can start with the ones you have your biggest audience on. So try and go to the place where you have the biggest amount of followers or friends. Try to look at who is your audience, what type of content do they like in general, what type of post did you get yourself up till now, the most reactions to it. So try to go through this process that we learned today. Look at the content that you have posted so far. Look at your own audience. Maybe even look at what your competitors are doing if you want to start with that. But first of all, look inwards. Look about your own profile and try to get a few insights, write down a few insights about what you have learned from looking at your own profile and your own posting so far, using the information that I gave you today. And then next time we'll start with that. We'll maybe learn from each other and go forward and learn more about what we can do with that. That's it.
No,
So,
I don't
yes.
have my channels anymore.
So do you have one channel? Do you have any Facebook profile, LinkedIn profile,
Yeah, I have
something?
a private Facebook profile, but like my old one, I deleted it, and the companies that I worked for, I don't have access to their things anymore.
No problem. because now I'm actually meaning even the personal profile. So even if you have a personal profile which only with your friends and family, it's good enough. Good. This is also good.
It's very
So,
small though. It's very like modest and discreet and small.
even if you have 20 people following you, that's fine. Then
When I
try
made
to
Shuva, I deleted my old account. I used to have like thousands of followers, but I like deleted everybody.
So the reset from starting from zero is fine, and having a clean slate is always an opportunity. Like Rosh Hashanah, it's a new year, so no, maybe you can also take the opportunity for all of you to, if you don't have yet, to maybe open a new account or to make your account or one of your accounts public, so you can start then experimenting with it or learning from it. So eventually you will want and you will need to have accounts, whether for your personal self or for your business profile on all the different channels. So you will want to experiment with all different channels. You can always delete it afterwards if you don't need it, or if you don't have to follow anyone you don't want to follow. You don't have to accept anyone that you don't want to follow you. But in order to learn, you want to learn by practicing. So you'll want to try it out. Settle?
We should make our accounts public.
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
So if you're not comfortable, now the thing is like this, it's a little bit tricky because on Facebook, for example, you're not allowed to have multiple personal profiles on Facebook. So there can only be basically a profile, one profile of Abigail, right? You're not allowed to use two profiles with Abigail, even if it's two different email addresses. You're not allowed to have a fake profile under someone else's name. They can actually close your account and ban your existing account as well. So you want to be very careful and only use the real information. But once again, you have some control over it. You don't have to share stuff that you don't want to. It's only a channel that you can use to have the availability or the potential to have all the features available and test them.
So should we link those with our other, like our Facebook account? Should we link that with our other accounts like LinkedIn? Should we connect them? Should we start connecting them together?
For your own sake, first of all, yes, meaning that you should know, right, what you have, what are your assets, or where do you need to still open an account. But you don't have to connect anything right now. Right now, it's only about, once again, going to the channel that you already use, or open the first one if you have zero, and start adding a few people, a few friends or family, or something that interests you, and try to look and learn from that. And it's fine, if you don't have anything yet, take
so we
it
can
one
start
step
with
at a time.
like pro-Israeli posts or something like that.
Yes, yeah. Or share, you can even share content from other people.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Perfect. So thank you all. Have a good evening. Shana Tova. And we'll see each other, Bezrat Hashem, next year.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Bye, everyone.
Shana